Here is the business website of a man named Tim Glister. He's British. He works for, or at least he used to work for, the British parent company of Cambridge Analytica, a firm called SCL. And you can see here that this British guy brags on his website. He touts his experience working in the U.S. in the 2014 midterm elections, specifically working to elect Tom Tillis to be a Republican senator from North Carolina. Mr. Glister says on his website, quote, "In 2014, I spent 3 months in North Carolina with an SCL consultancy team, helping Tom Tillis's successful senatorial campaign create highly targeted advertising that harnessed SCL's national database of voter issue sentiment and psychographic profiles. In an extremely crowded market, we helped the Tillis campaign create a raft of communications across platforms that engaged voters with the issues they personally cared about and delivered victory against the prediction of traditional polls." And then he, on his website, he shows an ad from that election to illustrate his work on behalf of Tom Tillis during that election, which is weird because from what we can see, this guy is not American. He's British. And American law says only American citizens are allowed to directly or indirectly participate in U.S. political campaigns at any sort of level that involves decision-making about the campaign. You can hire non-Americans to lick envelopes or whatever, but hiring them to, what does he say, to help Tom Tillis's senatorial campaign create highly targeted advertising, harnessing SCL's national database of voter issue sentiment and psychographic profiles? Having somebody not American do that? That might be a little much for American law. So, first of all, this raises the question of foreigners working on U.S. campaigns. But second of all, this is about Cambridge Analytica, the data firm for the Trump campaign. And put that same quote up again. This guy is bragging about the harnessing of the Cambridge Analytica database, the national database. According to Cambridge Analytica whistleblowers, that database is the one they obtained illicitly from Facebook. They took private data from more than 50 million Americans without permission, thanks to a stealth software package.
Well, you have to remember, part of the brilliance of Cambridge Analytica is that it doesn't need to make money because it's Robert Mercer's project, right? So Robert Mercer he's a billionaire, he doesn't need to make money, right? And further, if you as an investor of a company put money as a shareholder, as an investor into that company, that's not classed as a political donation, right? That's an investment in a company that you're the owner of, right? I'm improving R&D. I'm expanding our, teams. I'm doing, but you can do that more pointedly, and continue to invest purposely into a company so that it can also work for particular entities at a subsidized rate, or indeed, in some cases, for free. So one of the things that I'd also just point out is that just because there's a bill with a particular number on it with CA, it doesn't mean that that's the genuine value of the work that was produced. Because part of the brilliance of the setup that Robert Mercer created was that it becomes very easy to actually get around campaign finance laws in terms of declarations because it's an investment. He's a shareholder. He can invest.
So what's emerging out of this investigation overseas into the workings of this company that went on to be the Trump campaign's data firm? It's an allegation from a whistleblower at the company that the way this data firm worked is that they did lots and lots of work for campaigns. But they had the luxury of not really charging very much for it. Robert Mercer, one of the richest men on earth, could afford to just fund this company up the wazoo. And then the company could therefore afford to charge a campaign almost nothing for their work, no matter how much work they actually did. Presto chango, right? Robert Mercer's money funding these companies and entities in real life becomes Robert Mercer illegally overfunding a campaign, right? Without anybody on either side disclosing it. That's the allegation for the Brexit campaign in the UK. By implication, that's the allegation for Republican campaigns in the 2014 midterms here in the US, where they also allegedly had foreign workers coming over here to work on those campaigns as a sort of dry run, a practice run for the 2016 presidential race. And then, of course, that's a question about the 2016 election itself, when the Trump campaign paid Cambridge Analytica just under $6 million for running the campaign's data operation. Senator Amy Klobuchar brought that up on our show a few days back, that maybe people should start looking at the smallness of that number.
There are all kinds of potential legal violations here. The first and foremost is Cambridge Analytica itself, and how that works with the Trump campaign, and is that truly the value, a couple $1 million, compared to what I think someone has said maybe $100 million in value. That's a potential major election violation.
So if these allegations about basically unreported, outsized campaign contributions are true, the question for us now is, how exactly did they do that if they did it? What were the mechanisms they used to make these kinds of contributions and to move this money around in American campaigns? What should we look for to try to find out if this money was moving this way in our politics? Well, that brings us back to Tom Tillis and this British guy who's been bragging online about all the work he did on Tom Tillis's campaign in 2014, including on this campaign ad he features in the Tom Tillis section on his website. Watch this. This is the very end of that ad that he's been featuring there. See the bottom part there? This is an ad that a British guy is bragging about having worked on, dreamed up for the Tom Tillis campaign, while he was working for the parent company of Cambridge Analytica. But according to the disclosure there at the end, it's paid for by the John Bolton Super PAC. John Bolton Super PAC, also funded by Robert Mercer, who also funded Cambridge Analytica, which is now facing whistleblower allegations that the company sent foreign workers into the U.S. to work on Republican campaigns, and that these connected companies and entities were set up basically as a way to funnel Mercer's money into campaigns without it being seen. John Bolton's Super PAC appears to have been one of the links in that alleged operation. And of course, he has just been named National Security Advisor. I should tell you, since we first got a look at that British consultant's website bragging about the 2014 election and Tom Tillis, a couple of things have happened. I should tell you, the British guy didn't answer our emails, at least in the form of an email reply. But after we asked him about the John Bolton Super PAC ad that he posted for his show and tell, he changed his website. He took down the John Bolton Super PAC ad. Now he's just put up in its place a very exciting picture of Tom Tillis, which maybe the British guy also helped with, I don't know. And now, instead of saying that he helped Tom Tillis's successful senatorial campaign create highly targeted advertising, harnessing SCL's national database of voter issue sentiment and psychographic profiles, instead of all that, now that he's had the better part of 4 years to reflect on it, now since we started asking questions about that last night, he's changed it to say that really he was just helping a local political party with something a lot simpler, none of that highly targeted psychographic profile stuff that's in all the headlines now. So that's the first funny thing that happened when we started asking about this. Second thing is that the Campaign Legal Center now says they intend to file this complaint with the Federal Elections Commission. We got the draft of the complaint. It alleges that the Bolton Super PAC was making illegal, unreported, and excessive in-kind contributions to that Tom Tillis Senate race in 2014. John Bolton, with all the Robert Mercer money. It hasn't even been a full week since the president named Bolton as his new national security advisor. But if the idea was to not end up in a Michael Flynn situation again, Bolton might have been an odd pick. Here's Bolton in a 2013 Russian gun rights video for a group whose founder is now reportedly the subject of an FBI investigation into whether he illegally funneled Russian money into the Trump campaign by way of the NRA. Now here's Bolton showing up and reporting about Cambridge Analytica, which Robert Mueller is also reportedly investigating over the 2016 election. And now comes this watchdog complaint about Bolton's PAC in the 2014 election. We are 6 days out from the announcing of Bolton for this incredibly sensitive job. Heck of a choice, heck of a way to get started.